Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello dear students, I am Dr. Mona Semalti from HNB Garhwal University, Srinagar, Garhwal. Welcome dear students in this module, and today we are going to discuss about suppositories, and this topic we will cover in two modules. That means there will be two parts, part 1 suppository and part 2. So in part 1 we will be discussing about general introduction to suppositories and their advantages, disadvantages, ideal properties, and different suppository bases, their classifications. All these things we will discuss in part 1. And in part 2 we will discuss about methods of preparation and its evaluation. So let us quickly see learning outcome. So after going through from this module, you will be able to know about this dosage form, introduction to suppository, and its advantages, disadvantages, as I told, ideal properties, and different suppository bases. So now let me introduce you to suppository. This dosage form, it can be classified in a semi-solid dosage form because the delivery of the content, it depends, and we choose the material which melts at body temperature. Okay, so suppository, basically it is derived from the Latin word that is suppositus, meaning to place under. Okay, so suppositories are solid dosage form. Also you can call them as semi-solids, also and intended for insertion into the body cavities or orifices such as rectum, vagina, urethra, where they melt, dissolve, and exert the localized or systemic effect. Okay, so all suppositories, they melt at the normal body temperature after introduction in the body cavity, and they produce their effect. So suppositories are generally used for those patients who are unconscious and for pediatric patients, and are used for both systemically and to provide the systemic effect as well as the local action where the alternative routes are unavailable. Okay, so suppository is to be administered to the patients who are non-cooperative unconscious patients. So it is a kind of dosage form which gives you local as well as systemic therapeutic effect. Now moving to advantages of this dosage form. The very first thing which comes in your mind is because it is going to give localized effect, and we are administering this dosage form to the body cavity. Okay, as I told you, so the very first thing is it avoids your GIT. So avoidance of first pass effect, and it melts at body temperature, and both the action it provides local as well as systemic action, and it is also one of the advantage that this type of dosage form can be administered to unconscious non-cooperative patient, and it provides direct and immediate effect in rectum, and it facilitates the bowel movement. So it is used, very widely used for the constipating patients, and it can be administered to pediatric patients also. So what may be the disadvantages of this dosage form? The drug which causes irritation, local irritation, cannot be administered by this route, okay, and by this dosage form, and it has to be stored at low temperature. So this precaution is necessary with reference to the stability point of view also, and this preparation is not the patient, it is a kind, the patient feels little discomfort in administering this dosage form, and these preparations are little expensive, and degradation of drug occurs due to the presence of microbial flora present in the rectum. So now moving to the types of suppositories. Rectal suppositories, vaginal suppository, urethral, nasal, and ear cones. So these are different types of suppositories. Rectal suppository, so these are inserted into the rectum, and is the shape of this type of suppository is torpedo shaped. Okay, the weight of the suppository used in general is about around 1 gram, and in adult it is about 2 gram. Rectal suppositories are not formulated into the tablet due to the inadequate area available in the rectum for the tablet disintegration. Okay, so this is about rectal suppositories. These rectal suppositories are basically used for the treatment of constipation, hemorrhoids. Okay, these are two conditions the suppositories can be used, and the systemic action in condition where the local medication would not be retained or absorbed properly, such as during the severe nausea, vomiting, and this kind of conditions, and the drugs which are the category of drugs which are available in this type of dosage forms are analgesics and antispasmodics, sedatives, tranquilizer, antibacterial agents. Now moving to the next type, that is vaginal suppositories. So these are also referred as pessaries, and its weight is from 3 to 5 gram, and the shape of this type of suppository are either molded in the globular or oviform shaped, or it can also be compressed on a tablet press. It contains the combination of PEG, polyethylene glycol, of different molecular weights as suppository bases. Next is nasal suppository. Okay, nasal suppository are meant for introduction into nasal cavity. So okay, and 1 gram weight is of nasal suppositories, and glycerogelatin bases are generally used for nasal suppositories. Ear cone, they are also known as orinaries. Okay, and treatment for the local inflammation, and they are meant for introduction into the ear. Cylindrical shape maybe, and the weight of the suppository which are to be inserted in the ear, it's around 1 gram. Now moving to the very important ingredient of suppository, that is suppositories bases. Okay, it forms the basic block of manufacturing of suppository, that which kind of suppository base should be selected, and it depends on the compatibility with the active ingredient. Okay, it depends on the type of suppository to be formulated, to be used for rectum, for vaginal suppository, for urethral suppository. Okay, and it also depends on the property of suppository bases. So it plays a very important role in maintaining its integrity, complete integrity in terms of shape, okay, solidity, and also it plays a very important role in the complete formation, because it is going to react with the other additives which are used in the formulation also. So a large number of bases are used, but theobromine, okay, and glycerogelatin bases and polyethylene glycol bases are very commonly used suppository bases in all the formulations. Suppository bases. Now, what must be the ideal properties of suppository bases? The bases should exist in solid form at room temperature. Okay, the very first thing is the bases should exist in solid form at room temperature, and it should not, yes, obviously it should not irritate and produce inflammation sensation in the body cavity. It should be stable during production, manufacturing, storage, transportation, and there should not be any change in the color, shape, odor, and overall integrity of the product. Okay, and chemically and physically stable the suppository should be, and this is also important, and non-reactive. Yes, of course, it should not react to the additive used, should not react to the container in which it is going to be packed, and it should be free from any objectionable odor. Another properties which a suppository bases should have, they should retain the hardness and should not react to the excipients. This I also mentioned earlier, and should have good wetting and emulsifying property, right? It should have the acid value less than 0.220. It should have iodine value less than 7, and should have saponification value ranging from 200 to 245, and viscosity should be low enough when melted to pour easily, but high enough to suspend particles of solid drug into it. Okay, so these are few properties of suppository bases which are very important to know, because when a manufacturer is going to select the suppository base, he has to study the different properties. Okay, then he has to choose the suitable suppository base. Now there are a few standard specifications for suppository bases. This involves like origin and chemical composition. Okay, this I also talked little in previous slides, that the properties of suppository bases, their melting range, okay, solid fit index and hydroxyl value, saponification value, and solidification time, its iodine value, water number, acid value. So all these parameters are important with reference to the suppository bases, and they need to be evaluated, and after their evaluation, and if it fulfills the requirement, and if it is as per the standard norms, then only the suitable suppository base is selected for the formulation. Now moving to the types of suppository bases. Oily bases, or we can also call it as oleogenous bases. So we'll take example of cocoa butter or theobroma oil. Cocoa butter, it is a fat obtained from the roasted seeds of Theobroma coca. It's a chocolate like color it has, and at room temperature it is a yellowish color and yellowish white solid having faint agreeable. The odor is like chocolate, and the cocoa butter, it is obtained from the, as I told, it is obtained from the seeds of Theobroma coca. And chemically it is a triglyceride, combination of glycerine and one or more different fatty acid. You can take example of oleopalmitosterine and oleodistyrene, and it melts at the temperature range from 30 to 35 degrees centigrade. Now cocoa butter, the another properties of cocoa butter: solubility. The cocoa butter has solubility in water, slightly soluble in alcohol, and soluble in boiling absolute alcohol. Okay, and what about the incompatibilities? Incompatibility, this is very important for us to know the incompatibility of cocoa butter. The most notable incompatibility is cocoa butter is the lowering of its melting point with drugs such as chloral hydrate, phenol and thymol. It can be overcome by addition of 4 to 6% of white wax or 18% to 28% of cetyl ester wax. But the determination of the exact amount, this will decide the appropriate melting temperature of this base. So this is about cocoa butter. Now advantages associated with the cocoa butter. Okay, it is liquefied readily on warming and sets rapidly on cooling. So this is one of the important property which the cocoa butter fulfills for to be used as suppository base, that it liquefied easily, okay, readily, or I can say the quickly it liquefies on warming, and it settles down also rapidly on cooling. It has emollient effect, which is very useful to relieve the inflammation. It shows good release of water soluble drugs, and it does not cause any irritation in the mucous membrane. Disadvantages associated with the cocoa butter. Okay, it is susceptible to ranicidification. Okay, that means it get degrade. Because of degradation, there may be ranicidity. So should be stored in a dry place away from the light. Okay, so this is important. And it gives the soft suppository when formulated along with the chloral hydrate, phenol, volatile oil, okay, which have lower melting points. This is one of the disadvantage. And the physical property of the base, it varies from batch to batch, and extra lubrication is required during pouring in holder. Okay, and sometimes cocoa butter may also leach from the formulation. And because of its relatively low melting point, cocoa butter and the suppositories must be stored either at controlled room temperature or in refrigerator, and it is recommended that the storage temperature should not exceed 25 degrees centigrade. And the one more disadvantage of cocoa butter is it exists in several polymorphic form. So that have the lower melting points like 18 degree, 24 degrees centigrade and 28 degrees centigrade to 31 degrees centigrade. So the different polymorphic form, it exists in the different polymorphic form having the different melting point. Okay, so it is a little difficult to formulate the suppository by using this base. Now moving to the next a type of suppository base, that is emulsified cocoa butter, emulsified theobroma oil. So this is emulsified cocoa butter. Okay, it is used as a base when the large quantity of aqueous solutions are to be incorporated in the formulation. 5% glyceryl monostearate, 10% Lanatevax, 2 to 3% of cetyl alcohol, and 4% of beeswax is recommended for emulsified theobroma oil. Okay, so this way the cocoa butter is emulsified and is used as a suppository base. Third is hydrogenated oil. Okay, hydrogenated oils, they are used as a substitute of cocoa butter, theobroma oil. Okay, hydrogenated edible oil, coconut oil, hydrogenated pea oil, stearic acid, palm kernel oil, etc. So these are few examples of hydrogenated oils. Now look at the advantages of hydrogenated oil bases. Overheating does not affect the solidifying point. Okay, so this is one of the major advantage, that overheating of the hydrogenated oil do not affect the solidifying point. Okay, so there we have got the enough flexibility if in case it is overheated, and they are resistant to oxidation. Very good. This is very good advantage, and lubrication of the mold is not required. Okay, because they are enough greasy itself, and their emulsifying and water absorbing capacity is very good. So these are advantages of hydrogenated oil as a suppository base. And now the disadvantages. Now disadvantages: rapid cooling. On rapid cooling they become brittle. Okay, and when melted they are more fluid than theobroma oil, and it results in the greater sedimentation of the added substances. So this is the disadvantage of using hydrogenated oil suppository bases. Now next is a water soluble and hydrophilic bases. So in that we will see the glycerogelatin base. Glycerogelatin base, it is a mixture of glycerin and water, and it is made by addition of gelatin. So that is why it is glycerogelatin base, mixture of glycerin, water, and with the addition of gelatin. Okay, and it consists of 70 parts of glycerin, 20 parts of gelatin, and 10 parts of water. So 7:2:1 ratio of glycerin, gelatin, and water it has. Colorless, transparent, and translucent in nature, and it is soft to touch and melts between 30 to 35 degrees centigrade temperature, and it is basically used for vaginal suppositories. Advantages associated with the suppository base. This suppository base, glycerogelatin suppository base, it melts at body temperature. Yes, of course, it mixes with the body fluid, and it do not get ranicidification of it has advantage that it do not rancid, and it can be used to prepare suppositories by using boric acid, chloral hydrate, bromide, iodide, and iodoform, opium. So these are advantages. Okay, disadvantages of using glycerogelatin suppository base. It's difficult to handle, and there are chances of bacterial growth sometimes. Okay, and hygroscopic in nature, become hard on drying and soft in contact with the moisture. Laxative action, it itself has laxative action, and it is incompatible with the tannic acid and ferric chloride. Next, polyethylene glycol, PEG glycol. So these are commonly known as carbovaxes and polyglycols. Okay, these are commonly known as carboxyls and polyglycols, and they are long chain polymers of ethylene oxide. They exist in liquid and solid forms. Both the liquid have molecular weight from 200 to 600, and the solid have molecular weight it is more than 1000. So you can take examples of PEG suppository bases, and PEG 4000-33 parts. So just go through from this examples of PEG bases. Now, what are the associated advantages of using polyethylene glycol suppository base? Chemically stable and non-irritant. Okay, fine. And do not allow the bacterial growth. Physical property changes according to the molecular weight, because it exists in the two in liquid form also as well as in the solid form also, and it provides prolonged action. Okay, and do not stick to the mold. It's enough lubrication property it has. And suppositories are clean and smooth in appearance, which are made up of using polyethylene glycol bases. The next is emulsifying synthetic bases. What is POL? It consists of triglycerides of saturated vegetable fatty acid with varying percentage of partial esters, and a small amount of beeswax is added for use in hot climate, and to be used in hot climate, and should not be cooled rapidly and it becomes very brittle or fragile on cooling, and lubrication is required. Next is mesastearinum. It is a mixture of mono-di and triglycerides of saturated fatty acid, and it is white in color, brittle, almost odorless and tasteless solid, and it has melting point from 33.5 to 35.5 degrees centigrade, and they are available in the various grades, but grade B, which is very, very commonly used for suppository bases. Now, the types of suppository bases, the types of suppository bases, we have discussed the different types, but before I summarize this module, just the advantages of emulsifying bases, this topic is left. So let me tell you the advantages of emulsifying bases. They solidify rapidly and are non-irritant. The lubrication of mold is not required. Overheating does not affect the physical property of the base. They can absorb fairly large amount of water or aqueous liquids. White, odorless, clean, attractive suppositories are produced by using emulsified bases. Okay, and they are less liable to get rancid. Disadvantages of using emulsified bases: they should not be cooled rapidly in the refrigerator because they become brittle, and they are not very viscous on melting, so the medicament incorporated with the base settle down rapidly. So these are two disadvantages of using emulsified bases. So dear students, these are references, just go through from the references. Now coming to the summary of this module. So dear students, we have discussed suppository bases, introduction of suppositories, different types of suppositories we discussed, and the classification of suppository bases, their properties and their individual advantages and disadvantages in this module. And in the suppository part 2, we will be discussing the method of preparation of suppository and its evaluation part. So that's all for this module, and stay tuned for the next video on suppository, having suppository part 2. So I hope you have enjoyed this module. So stay tuned for the next video, and thank you so much for watching this video.